Greetings, friends around the world. You can always count on the press to give you exactly the truth at the beginning of a situation, right? No, usually the story develops and the truth comes out bit by bit over time. Well, in the case of the Maidan massacre in Kiev, February 2014, that case, that situation has been prolonged in terms of the truth coming out. We've been told, led to believe, we believe, almost everybody believes, that when police confronted the protesters on Maidan Square, they were hit by live rounds. The police were hit by live rounds as the protesters advanced toward them, throwing Molotov cocktails and bricks. Everyone assumes, and the press tends to back this up, that the police began to fire live rounds at the protesters because several of the protesters were killed. This is in Kiev, this is Ukraine, and this may have a bearing on the origin of Spygate and the Russia hoax and the deep state attempt to attack Donald Trump. Everyone assumes and believes, and the press tends to back this up, that the police killed the protesters in retaliation for being shot. When video shows, I have studied several videos carefully, it looks to me almost conclusively, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that when the police began to be killed and wounded by live ammunition, their decision was to withdraw, and they had a few elite law enforcement personnel there who had uh, live rounds as opposed to rubber bullets. And several of these fired toward the protesters as the police retreated. As the police retreated. So the overall response of the police was to retreat and to protect themselves as they retreated. Who killed 50 some odd protesters? It becomes clear that they were shot by snipers, and it is clear that it is almost entirely clear that the snipers who killed the protesters were located in buildings controlled by the protesters. Now, it's possible that very smart police officers um, learned to mix in with the protesters, infiltrated them, and brought sniper rifles into the Hotel Ukraina. Hotel Ukraina is one of the places, and they began to murder protesters simply in retaliation. It wasn't necessary to stop them to protect the police. The police were already in retreat, and 90% of them were already out of harm's way. Who are the snipers is the question, and it could be that these snipers were elements of the so-called right sector, the so-called neo-Nazis, those who are prone to violence anyway, who live to fight. They are the people that make up the volunteer battalions fighting in Donbass. It could be that our State Department, by cooperating with George Soros, is complicit in these killings, because it could be that Soros brought these violent prone radicals, ultra nationalists, into the protest, and these people shot other protesters as a provocation. It was all blamed on the police. It was all blamed on Viktor Yanukovych, who was being advised by Paul Manafort, who became Donald Trump's advisor at one point. I believe this should be looked into carefully and determined so we can determine who these snipers were. I suspect it was these radicals, ultra nationalists, uh, probably associated with George Soros, but who went on afterwards to run for positions in Parliament and to fight in the Donbass region against Ukrainians who wanted to separate from Ukraine and become associated with Russia. It's worth looking into. Thanks.